Alright everybody, welcome back. Hey, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. I'm one half of the Dungeon Swag team. We're in the 3.5 Monster Manual, and we are on Merfolk. We're on part 2, where this mermaid I've crafted is getting ready to get painted up. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a piece of cardboard and a little bit of white paint. If I can find some little bit of white paint. What's the other side look like? Probably better for what I'm doing. We're going to get a little bit of white paint. We're going to get a really cheapy makeup brush and wipe a lot of that off. And since you can't see where you're wiping off on there very well, you can come over here and just hit this. And then I'm going to start doing her up. And for those of you that saw part 1, this is a hero click, a dolphin tail from a like a dollar store pack. And this hero click is actually a Aurora Monroe, or Storm as some people call her. So I really want to get in here with this white, because since this is going to be a water base, we're going to lighten that up really heavy. So I am getting in there with the intent of giving that a decent coat on the base. And then we want her flesh and her hair to get a good color too. So in the book, it says they look like humans. It doesn't say anything about specifically what color their hair is or anything like that I saw. I'm not going to lie and say I really looked hard. But I don't think that mermaids are probably going to be the normal colors that we are. Because they're fantastic creatures, and I don't want mine to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my white paint away. And I'm going to hit her with the hot air gun burning. This is a +2 magical item. It is very ancient, so, you know, it is limited on how many charges it has till its magic power is completely gone. And much like some low-level items you might find in your campaigns, sometimes I have to shake it or smack it on stuff to get it to work. And that's okay, too. So we're going to get a little bit of tape here. Oh, I'm out of tape. Holy shit. Alright, well, we're going to get tape here. And I use that white because it's easier to see what color I have going on. And then I'm just going to tape it down with red that you can't see color on as easily. And I keep telling myself to go out and buy the stuff I need, and I don't. Mostly because, man, you know, I work full-time plus. This pay I think I'm going to have somewhere around 100 hours. And I just don't have the desire to be out digging around it to get everything I need, or trying to even remember what all I need. And usually it has to wait till the weekend. And that's just kind of, it's not fair to you guys that I don't have everything I need on hand all the time, but at the same time, you're not going to have everything you need on hand every time either. So you're going to have to learn to improvise. So I think that this color here, which I can't remember what it was called Prismatic Bolt, is going to be an awesome color for her tail part, her fish part. And from what I can tell already, it looks decent. Now my tail's moving around a little bit, and the reason that is because I didn't come underneath of it with any baking soda and super glue. Had I done that, it would be much sturdy and it wouldn't be wiggling around. But that's okay. As long as we're not crazy with this and we don't throw it around or toss it across the house, it should hold. It's going to be sturdy enough for tabletop play, I'm guessing. That also depends on how intense your tabletop play is and what you're doing with your plastic mermaids. So this dragon tail, from just like a dragon I've cannibalized other parts from, ended up being the body of her, and it's turned out pretty decent. It had some spikes on its back that I could have cut off to avoid that big weird butt lump, but I'm going to assume that butt lump is just a normal part of her physiology and it's not going to be a problem. So for her hair, I don't know what I want to do, but for her skin, I think what I want to do is I want to do something kind of exotic and fake looking. So before we get to that point, I'm going to hit her with the +2 hot air gun of burning, and I'm going to dry up some of the blue around where, some of this greenish blue where I want to work. And I'm going to use a light setting on my hair dryer. If you have a high and a low, I'm using the low. And this hair dryer actually has, I mean, hot air gun of burning, it's a magic item, actually has multiple settings and different temperatures, because back in the day they were nice. The ones that Mrs. Doom has now, that she, for her hair, are not as cool as this. Even though they look sleeker and they look more like a laser gun or something, they're just not, they have a high and a low and an off, pretty much. I think she only has the 2. I'm hoping to inherit one and get her a new one when that dies, because the time is coming. So for her skin, I think what I want to do is I want to either do like a yellowish color or a bluish color. And I'm thinking a bluish might suit me better. So I'm going to get this color here. It's called Magic Bolt. And it's a little darker than I like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of that Magic Bolt, and I'm going to do a test run real quick. And I'm going to mix some of the medium in to thin it out. And I don't know how much I'm going to need to do that with. So I have an unpainted, a partially painted with a wash on it guy here that I never finished. And I'm just going to take that and I'm going to see if that's too dark. And it's not going to be too dark if we make that thin. I'm pretty pleased with that. I think that's going to look nice. All right. Now I'm going to pull this out. And I'm going to wipe a lot of that off, and then I'm going to drag this around, and I'm going to try to spread it out evenly. I don't want to use giant glops of it. The majority of our depth work has been done with the way we base coated. And end game, if we don't like exactly how this blue looks on here, or if we think it's too dark, we can come by with another color later and we can play with it. We can get it down to where we think it looks good. But for now, I'm actually pretty pleased with this. I don't think it's overly dark. I think that I made the right call. I was trying not to get any on these wristbands, because even though those are her gloves, I'm going to try to make them look like bangles, which are like big bracelets. Don't ask me why I know that. I actually only own a couple pieces of jewelry. I have my dog tags. I don't know if that's really jewelry. And then I have some fake rubber wedding rings that Mrs. Doom bought me and wants me to wear. So I'm not a big jewelry person, but I do know what a bangle is. And it's also an 80s band, the Bangles, that sing like Walk Like an Egyptian and really nothing else of consequence. So there we go. Something like that. I think we got most of the blue on her covered up. I hope so, because I really don't want to come back and mix this again and mess it up. Because that is what I would do if I had to come back and do it again, is I would mess it up. I just realized she has some kind of gloves that go all the way up her arms. So I think we can come back and either ignore those, depending on how noticeable it is as she dries, or we can fix those with something later. But I'm not going to get too worked up about it right now. And I do need to get in between to cover up that skin in between her bangles there, because that was something I really wanted to do. All right, So I'm going to hit her with the +2 hot air gun of burning again. I'm going to put that magic bolt color away. And I'm using just that low setting again. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to paint this Bengals golden. And, well, I might wait for that because we got to do her chest piece in something too. For her chest piece, I think I'm going to use orange. I am not sure what colors Merfolk have available to them or what materials they have available to them to make garments out of. But I'm assuming that giant goldfish are obviously fair game. Oi! What'd you make that outfit out of? Goldfish? Ah, nice play. Lots of those around. Very golden. I'd say they're more of an orange. And that is exactly how the conversation between this mermaid and the first pirate she would meet exactly would go. That is not simulated or anything else. That is the actual how that conversation historically plays out. Oh, hate me some goldfish. I should have made a hat out of one. Alright, so thank God that's just paint. I thought I had cut myself again and didn't notice. Because that happens quite a bit around here. Alright, so I'm going to get this this gold color here. It's called Greedy Gold, and I'm going to do her Bengals with that. And I'm just going to take my time and make those look pretty good. Alright, I think that'll cover those. Then I'm just going to do this little necklace deal with that too. And I'm going to do the little medallion with that, but I might come back and hit that with something else. I don't know yet. We shall see. Alright. So now let's take a look at her base. And for her base, I'm going to get a bigger color and a bigger, more of another color. I'm going to get a bigger brush. And this is called High Lord Blue. And I'm just going to use it in that same spot where I already used blue. And we're just going to mix them together and do the base with this. And this kind of stuff here, I'll tell you what, speed paints and contrast paints and stuff, and these like really deep kind of like this watery effect I did here, this stuff can really pay off in this situation. On a low detail miniature, you often don't get much out of them, but definitely when you're doing something like this, you get a phenomenal look. Because what's going to happen is these high spots are going to lighten up and these low spots are going to be darker when it dries. And then I'm going to come in and just do like a bluish white touch on the top of the water, and it's just going to look all right, man. Little effort involved. It's going to look all right. Okay. I think I had the base pretty well covered. Let's take a look and see where we're at. Nice. For hair, I'm thinking purple. Thinking purple is the way to go on her hair. Let me see if I have anything in the range of purple that we can use. Because I only have the starter set of, okay, Hive purple. Can't imagine I've used that much. We better shake it good. Purple Alchemy, which I might like that better. Let's see. Okay, so Purple Alchemy. Donk. Oh, that's pretty dark. A lot darker than it looked. And then this is that Hive Dweller purple. Oh, that is super dark. Okay, so we're going to use the Purple Alchemy for this then, because I feel like the other one's going to be way too dark for this. And I went back to my smaller brush. This is just that Army Painter starter brush. I'm just going to get in here. I know we were talking, well, you know who I'm talking to. We were talking on that DM on Discord. Yes, I can use, I didn't even think to say anything to you at the time. I can use speed paints more, and I do appreciate that you like that I use them in more than just the way they're normally intended to be used. But I will be honest with you, I try to go back and forth and use regular techniques and speed paint techniques, because some people don't have the speed paints or can't get the speed paints, and I don't want people to feel like you have to have speed paints to do nice stuff or to do quick stuff. So as per the conversation yesterday, yes, we could do more speed paint stuff. Maybe down the road, if people are interested in just speed paint stuff, we can do a series of videos that we're only using kind of mostly speed paints besides base coats and stuff. But for now, I just kind of like to go back and forth so that, you know, whatever, no matter what you have, you're having opportunities to see how you can use it. And I just got some purple on her arm. So what I'm doing is I'm wiping off everything from the brush and grabbing that off of there the best I can. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag that around until it's mostly gone. Then I'm just going to come back with a little bit of that blue and just touch that spot up. And then you can't really tell it was purple. She is looking pretty boss at this point. I'm going to take this brush and clean it out. We're going to hit her with the +2 hot air gun of burning and see what else we need to do on her. We're going to come around the outside with the black for sure. That's going to be a big part of. Now, at this stage, I am noticing that I'd like her to be a little lighter. In blue. So that's an easy fix, though. And how you fix that quickly is you get a mid-tone blue color, like this electric blue here. And you get a dab of that. Make sure your brush is damp so that the paint flows nice. And then you want to just kind of flatten your brush out with that on both sides. And then you want to just lightly drag it along. and ignore the deepest spots because you've already had the speed paint do some work for you. And then you can just kind of subdue that blue a little bit. See that? It's not game changing, but it's lightening it up some. And you can do that in any spot you need to. And if you don't have a color that's complementing it just like this does on mine, that's okay. You might have to mix something, but you can get the same effect of what I have here, just with something that's kind of mid-tone, that's not going to be highly contrasted or highly contrasting to what you're doing. So like, I want to do some cleanup work on her hand here. And you have to understand, your skin is not just all one tone. So it is possible that as light hits her in different ways, and she's been exposed to sun differently, that she's going to have different degrees of skin tone. This is true on everyone, no matter what color you are, or how thick your skin is, or how old you are. There's always variation. I don't know about brand new babies, honestly, but I would assume there's probably some variation across their body as well. I never really sat and like investigated it, but I've done some like art stuff in the past, like, you know, for school and stuff, and I took art classes in high school as well. Though I'd say that's not as informative as some of the other art things I did later on in life, but I've taken some art stuff, and color theory is like a giant mess of stupidity. There are so many different things that flop into that and flop out of that. So I don't think we need to go back and do those arm things there as anything other than than more jewelry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that, I'm just going to use that gold, and where those armbands are, where it shows the end of those long gloves she was wearing, I'm just going to get a very tiny brush, and I'm just going to go around that in a ring and simulate that that's jewelry, is how I'm going to handle those. Something like that. And it doesn't look terrible. Just take your time. And remember, when you're doing like small detail work like this, or trying to get around an area that's a little different, don't panic. Don't start shaking and working up. Treat it like going around something with a marker or a pen to outline it. Like, posture your hand differently, relax your wrist a little bit like you do when you're, you know, when you're drawing or coloring, and do that. And it helps me enormously. So I am pretty happy with how she's lightened up at this point. I do need some eyes. Oh, I put my fractional brush in water. I did that a couple times now. So I don't like to get my whole brush tip wet. I use my mouth, and I only get like the first half of it damp with my mouth, because there's sweet gum, I think it's called, or sorbent gum inside these brushes that hold the bristles in. And on these really small brushes, if you wax those out and mess them up, there's just no coming back. Like, you can do stuff with big brushes, or even cut them and turning them into different types of brushes. We make mistakes. But with small brushes like this, once you bork it up, man, it just seems like that's the end of it. So I'm just going to get in there. And I'm not going to do any irises on these, or pupils, I mean, because I've been having some problems lately with aiming. And then, see how her eye's cartoony and big on the right side there? I'm just going to use that same blue color. And then I'm going to trace around and get it back to the right size. And then, even though I don't need to do it on this side, I'm just going to use that same color there, so her face looks pretty symmetrical. And now her eyes are both just little dots. And again, like I said, I'm not going to take the time to do iris or pupils, because I'll just mess them up. So I do think her boobs are a little bright orange. And so to fix that, damn it, I put that fractional brush in the water again. It's because I do this stuff, you know, on my own time, and I don't rush. This is lava orange. It's pretty bright, but I think it can, I hope, just like the skin, that this can change something about these boobs a little bit, and it can. That'll lighten them right up. I still don't want her boobs being so dark and sticking right out like that. They just look really obnoxious to me. So there we go. That's our mermaid. We're going to have to do black around that base real quick, but that's just a quick nothing or something. And I'm pretty pleased with her. Obviously, I'm tired of people fighting about what color fictitious creatures are. Like, okay, they remade The Little Mermaid and there was a cultural change. And I understand how some people that like tradition or like things to be a certain way could be upset about that. And I understand how the other side can be like, oh, it's about time. I understand both sides of that argument. Don't get me wrong. I realize that, everyone's going to have their own opinions on that. But no one mentions my opinion. And my opinion is that there is no such thing as a mermaid. And most fantastic creatures, we can color them any color we want to. This is a fantasy creature. Mine's blue with purple hair, with a greenish blue tail. Yours can be yellow. Yours, keep in mind, these are not real creatures that we've had photographs of. We're like, oh man, those are always chartreuse. Always chartreuse, man. I saw a movie one time where one was chartreuse, and I'm sure that's the official canon color of all of them. It doesn't matter, guys. Did you see the movie Fantasia? They represented every pastel possible in with the centaurs and stuff. It doesn't matter. It's fantasy creatures. It's not real. Neither one of your sides of your argument are right. The argument is this, that they're fantastic, made up, crazy things that don't exist. They're just for fun. They're for storytelling. They're for adding a little mystery and a little bit of awe to the world. And historically, that's what they were. No, they weren't running around having sex with mermaids in the ocean, you jackasses. Yeah, you see stories about mermaids, and I've seen some arguments about how the origin came to be. They thought maybe sailors that were hallucinating saw manatees, and I've heard a bunch of other stories too. It doesn't matter. They're not real, no matter how you look at it. Unless one washes up on the beach or we catch one, they're not real. They can be any color. So quit arguing about dumb shit with your neighbors and your friends and your coworkers. We have real problems in the world that we need to argue about, why are miniatures so fucking expensive? Oh, excuse my French. Sorry, crap. I try not to use the F word. Why are miniatures so darned expensive? That's a real problem. The economy is not doing well, yet miniature prices are skyrocketing. I know their expenses are going up some, but the prices of miniatures are just boinking. And I feel bad for the local game store guys, because this price point is probably going to be the ultimate driving force that if you don't have an alternate money maker in your store, like a coffee bar or something, or a really good bistro of some sort where you have sandwiches or whatever, a deli, if you don't have something else in your game store, these price points might end up being the end of everything we love, guys. So I can come back with a really light off. What I got here, this is called China Blue. I don't know if we're allowed to call it that anymore. I think now we have to call it very, very light blue so we don't get anybody upset. But I'm just going to get a crappy brush that I can do some dry brushing with. And I use the term dry brushing very loosely. I have put no moisture in this brush. I don't care if it's a little chunky at this point. And then I'm just going to come up here and drag this across some of that top of that water. And I got a little bit on the black base, so I'll have to come back around and fix that. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with how she turned out. Sorry I got preachy again. I know after the last video I said I wasn't going to get preachy. But man, the world is crazy right now. There are some pretty reasonable concepts that just get ignored because it seems like they're these two angry titans who are both wrong, and they're both screaming that they're right. And no one's listening to all the people that aren't titans. We're just I want to be able to buy food, and I want to be nice to my neighbors. I want my neighbors to be nice to me. I don't want to feel like every day is a fight. This is the normal stuff, the people that just want to live kind of stuff, and that's where I sit. I just want to live. I never, in my life, thought that I would be, coming back from the army, and then the world would get so bad from that point, where, everything I believed in has been, shit on. I always just believed, hey, we all have all the freedoms in the world until they intersect and interrupt somebody else's freedoms. We don't even care anymore. People just step on each other's freedoms. I saw a protest where they were stopping people from getting into their job. It's one thing to stand out front and to yell and be unhappy, but I thought, we were past this as a country. I thought these old, union style, you can't cross our line stuff. I thought that we were past that. I thought we were, where people just let people live and do their own thing without messing with each other. And then now we're right back to that old bullshit from back in the day, like, you can't do your thing if I can't have it my way. Come on, guys. Tell your friends and family to be loving to each other. Tell them to be tolerant of each other. I'm not asking you to kiss each other's asses or to even embrace their ideals or their beliefs, but just be respectful to each other. We don't need to have this much hatred going around. I hate going to work some days because certain people just always have to hate monger. I hate that. So anyways, here's our mermaid. I'm pretty happy with her. I would like to lighten up that purple a little bit in some spots, but I feel like we're pretty far in on a paint job at this point. So if you like what we're doing here, please hit like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, and leave me a comment. Check out the Discord and the website, buy some minis maybe. Those links are in the description. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Doom, and this is the Mermaid. Bye-bye.